So then we have it. And then what I'm also going to do is just post this so that if anybody wants to do this in preparation for 2025, they can do that. It's something that I kind of do this time of year. So let me sort of kick things off and just share with you guys. So I decided a while ago to start doing these, I would say, goals sessions towards the end of each year. And I'll do probably a few of them over the next few months, just because, as we can see, attendance is hit and miss. But I can tell that if we find the time, or if people can make the time, that it actually ends up being really useful for them to at least start now planning for 2025 or for the year ahead, whatever that is, but actually planning for the year ahead. So what I've done is I'm going to share my screen because Ravneet, I don't think you've been to one of my sessions before, but I always have a PowerPoint that is that sort of guides our conversation. And then what I've also done is I've put a link in the chat so that you guys can actually access this. Because what's going to happen is that we're going to do a couple, we're going to do one meditation together, obviously. And then we're going to, because that's part of, actually creating a vision. And then separate from that, we're also going to do a smaller exercise. And so actually, before we start, what I'd like to ask you guys to do is maybe get a piece of paper or a journal or something like that and have that at your fingertips. And ideally a blue pen. Blue as a color resonates better with the universe. So obviously I have my journal here as well. So I do everything with you. And if I do 15 of these sessions, I do the vision meditation 15 times, because I think key to all of this as well is that we're constantly evolving. We're constantly changing. The things that are coming at us and inspiring us and or challenging us are constantly changing. And so as a result of that, I think it's important that we're constantly kind of checking in on what's important to us and then moving forward accordingly. So what I'm going to do is, have you guys been able to access that document? Like when you click on the Google link, can you access it?
Is it in the chat?
It's in the chat.
For me, it doesn't show any message.
Yeah.
You guys
I have no.
can't see it in the chat? Okay, this is
No.
so weird. Okay, I wonder if, okay, let me know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now I
perfect.
see.
You know what? I put it in the chat prior to starting the meeting. And so maybe that's why. So let me know if you can access that.
Yeah, I access this now.
Okay, perfect. Great. And so you don't have to do anything right now, but I just like you to have it available so that even if down the road, there's something in here that is a trigger to you, or you want to be reminded of, or whatever, that it's at your fingertips. But ideally you have a pen and your journal close by. Okay, so I'm going to kind of lead you guys through a few things to start off, just so that we can, let me just do this. Okay, perfect. Just so that we have everything working. Okay, so this is how I've kind of identified the goals within our goal clarity and vision session today. So one is I really want to help you begin the process of clarifying your vision. And I find that with a lot of the students that I work with and the people that I coach, actually clarifying your vision is really challenging. And part of the challenge is because we have, all these voices in our head and all these other influences that impact who we are, what we're thinking, and what we want to do. So hopefully what we're going to do is do a meditation session together that will help you at least begin that process. And then we're going to talk about some ways that you can make that process even stronger. So that your vision actually does come to life. So that'll be kind of the second part of this. Next, my big hope is that I'm going to help you connect your vision with your current life. Because I think a lot of the reason that we fall off the rails in making our current life or our current vision happen is that we get so caught up in life. And the same thing has happened and even continues to happen to me. Our daily lives get so busy. You know, today I woke up with a list of 10 things to do, and I'm probably at item number 4. And then you're going to layer onto this, you know, our vision for our bigger life. And so how do we fit in those extra things when we already have very busy and full lives, even though this is something that we really want for ourselves? So it's a bit of a challenge at times. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're also going to talk about your goals. So we're going to start to drill this down so we get clear on your goals, because the clearer that we get, then we can actually prioritize them, set up methods for breaking them into milestones, and therefore set ourselves up for success in achieving them. And that's where we really have focus and a plan. So hopefully that achieves your needs today and will help you actually ensure that you achieve the vision that you actually have for yourself. And hopefully you guys have a great vision for yourself. So let me explain to you that the reason that this is so important is because I think that often we don't actually have a strategic framework for ourselves. So we have one for the business world. You know, I'm ex-corporate, so I've spent most of my life in the corporate world. And then I became an entrepreneur kind of midway through my 30-year career. But when you first start out, it's almost ingrained in all of us that we think through a process as well as think through timelines, and that we're constantly monitoring our business. So I'm sure you guys remember from school, you know, we're taught the strategic process where we have, you know, vision, mission, values, objectives. We come up with strategies to achieve those objectives, tactics to achieve the strategies. And then we go into this process of making it happen and continuous evaluation. And I think therein lies the difference with our personal lives is, sure, we have a vision and we kind of have a mission. So some of us are pretty clear on what our purpose is. Some of us are still figuring that out. And in fairness, that is definitely something that changes over time. We kind of know our values, like we know what matters to us. And I think we actually sometimes could be more clear on that because there's opportunities for alignment and misalignment with other people, even though we might use that same word. And then obviously we have objectives / goals, same thing. But then as individuals, this is where I think we start to fall short, is that unlike the business world, we actually don't put the plans and frameworks together. And I think what we do is we shoot that dart or we write it down, but then where we sometimes can fall short is on the detailed plan. And in our business lives, you know, we're paid to follow the detailed plan, right? Like, so, you know, we have long-term plans that take us 10 years out. We drill down to an annual plan for our business. And then from that, we have all these different checkpoints within the year that ensure that we're on track. And that's so normal for us from a business perspective. In fact, that's why we all get paid to go to work. And the tracking systems are so normal. And yet in our personal lives, which is the most valuable part of our life itself, we rarely do that. And when you look at our personal lives, you know, that chaos abounds. And, you know, you guys know me. So, you know, I'm a single mom with 3 young adult kids who now are living in 3 different countries as of January and 3 different time zones. And it's super important to me to be connected to them as well as do work that fulfills me and live comfortably, etc. And so you're thinking about all those things that we have to do on top of our chores and our laundry and eating and sleeping and working out and staying healthy. You know, how do we actually incorporate these processes into our life? And when we think of a long-term plan for our life, usually on January 1st, you know, we kind of set resolutions. But the problem is that on January 1st, we're caught up in the excitement, which is amazing, of the year ahead. But it's important that we not only establish the goal, but we establish the path. Wow, I'm losing my words. Not only that we establish the goal, but we establish the path to actually achieve it. I haven't been drinking this morning. Honestly, it's only coffee. I swear to God. But obviously it's super important that we put in the plan to achieve it, which is why I actually like starting at this time of year and not leaving it until January, because my hope is that if I actually start now, I'm actually going to have the process in play for January. So by the time January comes, I'm actually not making a New Year's resolution or setting my goals. I may be having something that is a catalyst to kick things off and put some wheels in motion, but I've already got in front of me a plan that is actually now just going to fall out through the course of the year. And I think that's where now we'll see, what the months are going to look like, and we can actually do these check-ins, which I think, in all honesty, I'm not really sure that we do in our personal lives unless we're actually committed, accountable, and create the framework for that. So hopefully today, what's going to happen is that you're going to leave here with the framework for that. But the good news is we're going to start off on a positive high note and do something that is kind of fun. And this is actually, honestly, this is one of my favorite things to do. I probably do, well, as I said to you, I do a vision meditation every single time I do a workshop, but I will also do a vision meditation when I am at a crossroads and I'm really trying to see how this new opportunity or new challenge is going to fit into the vision that I have for myself. So what I'm going to invite you guys to do is get comfortable. So sit comfortably wherever you are and get ready to do a meditation. If you have ever done a meditation with me before, so I often lean into one of my favorite people to meditate with, which is 𝗲𝗵𝗿𝗆 𝗵𝗂. And so she actually has a vision making meditation that I think is super powerful. And I think what makes this powerful is that it's actually what I'm going to call a working meditation. So I'm not going to put on music and expect you guys to go off into 5 and 10-year vision of your life. I'm going to ask you to sit comfortably and allow 𝗲𝗵𝗿𝗆 𝗵𝗂 to actually take you on that adventure so that you start to see what your life could look like. I'm also going to ask you, as we do this, to, shut out any fears, any limiting beliefs, any other voices in your head that tell you, you shouldn't do this, you can't do this, you're not good enough, all those things. Because truthfully, if we listen to all those things, we wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. And there's so many amazing reasons to get out of bed in the morning. And I'll share a little bit about my personal story in a few minutes after we go through a couple of other points and after we do our vision meditation. But I never thought that I would achieve some of the things that I've achieved. And if I had listened to the voices in my head or to the voices of the people around me, I probably wouldn't even be running this workshop today. And it's something that makes me super happy and fills my cup, because my hope is always that I can make the life of at least one other person better or easier. That is always my goal. So on that note, I'm going to ask you to get comfortable, however you're sitting, and I'm going to put on the meditation, and I'm going to do it with you. And it takes roughly 9 minutes, just so you know. So it's not like a 45-minute meditation or anything like that. It's 9 minutes, but I think it's a really good meditation.
Vision making meditation. Find a comfortable seat, either sitting cross-legged on the floor or on a chair. Have your journal next to you. Drop your chin and gently pull your neck back. Roll your shoulders back and sit in straight alignment. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, receiving all the energy around you. Feel the energy supporting you. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let each breath become deeper and deeper. Allow your body to completely surrender to the energy surrounding you. Let your mind wander and your thoughts shift. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let yourself accept all that you are ready to cultivate: happiness, abundance, joy, health. Allow yourself to dream big. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Everything you need in this moment is right here. Everything is unfolding naturally. Your dreams become your beliefs and are your reality. It's already here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Accept that all you need is coming to you in the perfect divine order. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Continue this cycle of breath and allow your body to attune with the natural energy of love. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now take your journal and write exactly what you desire at the top of the page. Then surrender this desire to the universe by writing next to it, "It's this or something better." Allow your thoughts to align with the energy of love, service, and your deepest desire. Let your pen flow, allowing visualizations of yourself fulfilling your dreams. See yourself in the experience of what you desire, and allow your creative ideas to flow onto the page. Embrace these ideas. Accept these visions and write freely about the desires that you know are true to you. Let an inner belief set in. Allow your pen to flow, your mind to wander. Visualize your greatest desires. Now take a deep breath in and release these desires to the care of the universe. Take some time now to read back what you have allowed to come onto the page. Feel the feelings that these visualizations have created. And trust that those feelings have sent a powerful message to the universe that you are ready to receive. Throughout the day, read over your visualizations and attune your energy with the positive feelings that they invoke. Trust that this process is a creative journey of co-creating with the universe and allowing yourself to be supported as you receive all that you desire.
How'd that feel for you guys? Was that good? I know. It honestly.
First time I'm not crying.
Well, I'm glad you didn't cry. I'm so glad you didn't cry. That's good. That's good. Because you've actually got things that are happening that are coming to fruition for you.
Yeah, that's my vision.
Yeah, that's amazing. Look at you. That's so good. Is that your vision board? Is that what you're showing me?
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
It's doing like a weird glare thing. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, we can see parts of it.
It's
There you go. That's better. Okay. Have you updated it recently out of curiosity?
I've accomplished all of it except one, the trip to Dubai and trip to Bali, which will happen. So
Which is
I
amazing.
complete my vision board. Yes, and I have a new one for next.
Honestly, I love that. I love that. That is amazing. I'm super proud of you. That's amazing. That just shows the commitment to yourself and to the process and that it works. Like, honestly, it does work.
It works.
It works. Like, I think that's what everybody has to realize is that this actually can work, you know? Ravneet, how do you feel after that?
I feel so glad. Imagine, so glad.
So is this a good feeling? I can't tell. Is this a good feeling?
Yeah, it's so good feelings.
That's good. That's good. My hope is that you feel like peaceful, you know?
Yeah, it's so peaceful.
That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Well, I'm glad you guys did that. And the reason that I kind of start things off with the vision meditation is because I think we need to start off always positively. I'm very much a glass overflowing, let alone half full. And so I feel like we need to have a positive focus because it's the positive focus that when things are out of focus or out of alignment or causing us challenges, that helps to get us, out of bed, stay on track and keep focused. And I can share, from my own perspective, like honestly, I have had considerable challenges in my life. And it's by holding strong and having faith in my vision that I've been able to continue to get up out of bed and keep moving forward every single day because I'm so committed to that feeling and to that life at the sort of end of the proverbial rainbow, that I know it will be worth it. And so I think it's important. I will share my own story in a couple of minutes, but I think part of that is that it's just, life is challenging every single day. Let's be honest. I mean, we got up this morning and you change your clocks back and you kind of go, oh, amazing that we got an extra hour, but our to-do list exceeds the time that we have. And then we kind of wonder as we're in ruts or in challenges, like, are we ever going to get out of this? And can we make our lives better? And the answer is always yes. This just sometimes we need that inspiration. And I think our vision continues to help us. So we've already gone through it, but what I would also like to propose that you do. And so Ravneet, I mean, Vish just shared hers. I don't know if I'm going to be able to share mine. So mine is also on my home screen. And so I don't know if I turn my phone off and then turn it on, if it works, if I do that. Oh, you can kind of see it. So you can kind of, whoops, see it in the, I got to go this way. I'm terrible at this, in the background. And then what I also do is I have it, so my bed, technically, if my bed was right here and the wall is ahead of me, and actually my wall is a window, but I have my vision board hanging on my window. So that on my window frame. So it's the first thing that I see when I wake up in the morning. It's the last thing I see when I go to bed at night. It's obviously on the home screen of my phone. It's on the home screen of my computer. It's actually, I have a clear mat on my desk. It's under the mat on my desk. When I travel, I carry it with me in my calendar so that I feel like I put these constant reminders all around me. Because honestly, life can get challenging. And then, so that's the one part of it. But then I also think that we'll constantly have opportunities coming up and being presented to us. And so I think what happens is that we start to go off track, and maybe going off track is the right thing to do, but maybe it's not the right thing to do. And I think if you center yourself in your vision and you ground yourself, then it gives you the opportunity to have that check-in. And in the process of that check-in, you can be sure that maybe it's the right thing to veer off track or not. So my hope for you guys is that you'll take the time after this to sort of decompress and think about it and read it again later today. I mean, the good news is that it's a Sunday. And so my reco, and it's actually what I am also going to do today, because I've started to collect images. I have a stack of magazines on my coffee table. I don't know if you can see my coffee table. I'll do this. But right over here is my coffee table. And so there's a stack of magazines over there. And so I'm starting to collect some images. I have some places that I want to visit, some places where I want to work remotely for a period of time. And so I'm starting to collect all of that and putting together a vision board for, I'm going to say, for 2025 and beyond. And I think that's kind of an important point. I think we have to establish things kind of in palatable or bite-sized pieces, because I think sometimes if we go, excuse me, sorry. Oh, sorry, guys, excuse me. But I think sometimes if we go too far out, then sometimes we feel like, oof, that is not going to be achievable at all. So I think sometimes, and as we talk about our goals today, we're going to talk about putting them in some bite-sized pieces and really focusing on the ones that matter so that we can actually make them happen. And we're going to add some substance to the ones that we're really going to focus on, because that actually ensures accountability and achievability. When I started this off with you guys, I said to you, you know, part of our challenges is obviously our current life, the voices in our head and our fears and limiting beliefs. And then obviously, you know, sometimes we're challenged to actually create a plan. So this is where I'll share a little bit of my story. So I was, I guess, wow, go back to 2005, 2006. I thought, so there is the key point, very happily married. I had 3 young children that were 9, 11, and 14. I was a partner in a very successful agency that I had actually founded a brand new division of this agency. So there were partners on one side. I was a partner. I was connected to them, but really ran my own show and my own ship. And it was amazing. And we became highly successful very, very quickly, obviously supported by my other partners. And they did some amazing jobs introducing us, but we had to go out and do the work and get the work and really build the reputation. And so all of this was coming together. I had just turned 40. I had a phenomenal career behind me. I had been in brand management at Nestle. I'd managed a joint venture between Nestle and Coke. And I'd also done a bunch of new product launches and helped with some startups. So as I was going into this startup, I already had some frameworks in place. On the personal side, as I said, my family was, in my opinion, growing and flourishing. We built our first home on a vacant piece of land because that was the only way we could actually afford to get into the housing market. We then were able to sell that or flip it, whatever the appropriate terminology is. And then we built our second home. And so we were now in this second home. It was close to schools for my children. And I thought I kind of had lived in this perfect world. My ex, obviously my ex-husband, and I came from homes that were kind of shattered and not healthy existences. There was a lot of physical and mental abuse, a lot of hardship. My ex-husband's parents stayed together and struggled through. My parents completely imploded and went bankrupt 3 times, and it was absolutely terrible. So I have lived in a home, or I guess rented in a home, where we, as a child, in order to stay warm, we actually had the oven open to heat the house. Like, that's how honestly poor we were. And I started paying rent when I was 15, 16, and helping support the family in any way I could, because that was the only way that we were going to be sustainable. Fast forward to 40, because I'd set this life plan in place. I did the plan. I thought I had everything kind of figured out. I didn't go through the process that I've gone through, but I certainly had certain ways that I wanted to live and make our life better for my family and I. And my world imploded. So my marriage completely fell apart. Obviously, that had some implications on my business, but I think the positive part was that I actually threw myself into raising my children and focusing on the business, which caused growth in both. But it also caused a lot of chaos, because now I was a single parent with lots to do. Even though my ex-husband was involved, he was traveling a ton. And obviously there's just lots of challenges when you now have 2 sets of homes, 2 sets of everything. It's extremely challenging. And I had pretty significant custody requirements, which I would not turn away from at all. So I had all these priorities, never enough time in the day. Sunday night, I would literally be ironing at 11 o'clock at night so that my kids' clothes were ready. I didn't know how to bring it all together and how to manage everything and get everything done. And also at the time, I mean, financial resources were limited, because now we were in a totally different financial situation. And so, I did what I think most of us do. I bought all the self-help books. And I remember my mom saying to me, "Oh my God, thousands of self-help books. Like, what is the matter with you? What do you think is the matter with you?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think there's a lot of things the matter with me." So I was trying to fix whatever it was that wasn't working. I also took lots of courses, and I hired some coaches. Like, I was literally grasping at straws, trying to make my life better, because I wanted a really great life for my kids. And I wanted all of the things that I had promised in my mind to them before they were even born. So I had this way that I wanted to raise them, and these things that I wanted them to experience, even though at that particular point, I hadn't even held them in my arms. My challenge with all of this was that I couldn't find something that was like a one-stop shop, like one coach who said, "Here's the plan, like, go put it together," or a book or a workshop. There was nothing that sort of took into consideration my personal life and my professional life and all the pieces of my life. And that's actually why I created the Life Blueprint method, because while we have all of this for our business life, we don't actually have a way to apply it to our personal lives. So my intent was to create a way for it to apply to our personal lives. And so in the process of doing that, which is basically what I did, is I then set the framework that I'm sharing parts of it with you guys. And that allowed me to achieve goals that I never thought I would achieve. So as an example, if I dial back 15 years ago, roughly, feels like such a long time ago right now. Almost 20 years ago, actually. It is 20 years ago. I got to be able to do this math faster in my head. There were times when I wasn't sure what kind of home we were going to have, if I was going to be able to ensure that my kids could travel, if one of my sons really, really wanted a cottage. And in fact, my ex-husband and I at the time, months before our marriage blew up, had put a down payment on a cottage. And now, obviously, we had decided that we weren't going to proceed with that. And so we were very fortunate in that we were able to get out of the deal. But I had a child here who really wanted a cottage. And so these were all things that I didn't think were ever going to be able to happen. So I went through and created this process that I'm taking you guys through, and I'm actually sitting at my cottage right now. So this was something I didn't think we would ever own. I also own 3 other properties that are all investment properties for my children. And I want to say they each get one, but that's actually not true. They each get, I guess, a part of the process. And I have renters in there who help obviously pay the mortgage, etc. Have an Airbnb. I always wanted to teach, and it was something that I had started to do as a test in 2015. And I have been doing it part-time for over a decade. And this past year, it evolved into me becoming an official prof at a college and university. So for me, that was a big step. So there's just been these milestones, publishing my book, etc. And my point to you is that if I hadn't envisioned the milestone and then really broken it into pieces, I wouldn't have been able to make it happen. At the same time, in doing that, I also had to juggle my personal life. And so this is where I find that we often have that biggest challenge, is that we have these things that we want to do, and we also have to juggle everyone and everything that's important to us. So what I'm going to ask you to do is a very quick 3-minute exercise. So I'm actually going to time you. And the reason that I time you on this one in particular is so that you think about the things that matter absolutely the most. So I think if we, that the work expands to the time given. So if I gave you 20 minutes or 2 hours or 2 or 3 days, you would maybe put some notes down, but then maybe come back to it, maybe not come back to it. And then an hour before the 2 or 3 days is up, you'd finish it off. We're all creatures of habit, and we all tend to do that. What I want you to do right now is sort of sit comfortably in your chair. Definitely have your pen and paper ready. And this is going to sound a bit ominous, but you're just going to have to trust me that this is a super important exercise. And what I want you to do is think about if, heaven forbid, and universe forbid, and obviously this is not in the cards for any of us today because we're having a great day and a great time together. But if for whatever reason we were to part tomorrow and, you were no longer around to enjoy the company of your family and friends and do the work that really fulfills you, what would you like to be said about you? What is the impact that you would like to be remembered for? What kind of impact you want to have, what kind of impact rather would you like to have had on people or places or things? So it's not, there's that famous kind of Maya Angelou quote that is often paraphrased. It's not about the breaths we take, it's about the breaths we take away. So I'd like you to think for a few minutes about if, God forbid, something happened and you were no longer here as of midnight tonight. What would you like those who are important to you to say about you, and actually even identify, like, who is this? Is it your mom, your dad, your sister, your partner, whoever it is, a colleague? So who is it, and what would you like them to say? And I want you to think about this very quickly so that you don't second guess yourself. And then I'll explain to you why this is so important after we go through the process. So I'm literally going to give you 3 minutes. It's 10:45. So I'm going to give you until 10:48, and I will do the same exercise with you. So go, just write this down. 1 minute left. Okay. So I'm going to ask you guys to kind of wrap that up, but I'm going to ask you to think about it. And the reason that I have you do this exercise is because there's a fine balance between the big goals and aspirations that we want, and at the end of the day, what we really want to stand for. And it is in the convergence of those two that we learn how to plan out our life and ensure that we don't drop the ball in either area. So as an example, if you identify that it's super important to you, that you maintained as a result of what you wrote down, this really great relationship with your mom or your dad or a peer or someone, and that you want them to reflect back that this is what they think is amazing about you, then what can you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, whatever it is that fits in your life, that ensures that you maintain that relationship and that you have that impact on them? So it's whether it's on a person or the world or a community or whatever it is. So what can you build into your daily, weekly, monthly existence so that you're constantly balancing that off and grounding yourself? Because at the end of the day, while we have these amazing visions, we also have a way that we want to be remembered. And so it's important that the two come together and balance each other off so that we are humble and confident and still full of passion, but doing so in a way that is actually consistent with our values. When we do this impact exercise, it's actually our values that come to the surface. So it really does cause a reflection on our vision to see if in fact our vision is consistent with our values. And so it's a good way and a good time for you to kind of do that gut check as you're now going on to the next step of creating that vision board. It's just a good way to check in and be like, is this all feeling consistent, or do I want to make some adjustments? And you'll start to feel your body actually make the adjustments as you are pulling through images that you want to put together on your vision board and what's going to fit and what isn't going to fit. And I'll give you some tips on putting together a vision board before we wrap up today, for sure. So as you just kind of decompress and think of this, and to be clear, this is also something that you can go back to. So obviously you have access to these worksheets. This is something that requires reflection. And so today, my hope is that I've heightened your awareness in these areas, but obviously my goal is that you continue to reflect on this and it continues to evolve and you continue to add more and more to it as you go through. And that's where you'll find that it gets stronger and more ingrained within you, and it also gets clearer, and therefore you help make it happen much more easily. So let's go on to the next step, which is, we had the high of the vision, kind of the intensity, admittedly, of when we really think about impact. And I realize that that's an intense 3 minutes, but I'm going to tell you, I did that exercise for the very first time at a workshop several years ago. And it was by far one of the most impactful exercises I have ever done, because that's where the rubber meets the road. It's like, oh my God, do I really care about this when at the end of the day, this is the impact that I want to have? So it was just a very good way of, keeping yourself in check, to be honest. As I always say, one of my favorite songs is a Tim McGraw song called Humble and Kind. And when I think about that, that's what I kind of think the power of the impact exercise is just to keep us humble and kind and honorable. So let's go on to the next step, which is your goals. And what I'd like you guys to do, and hopefully there's not enough lines here. I'm certainly hoping that you have way more than 3 goals. So use a piece of paper, use whatever you want. And what I'd like you to do is take a couple of minutes. So it's 10:52, but just literally think about every goal that you have. And this is likely not something we're going to finish today by any means, but I want you to start it off today. And then I'm going to propose that you then continue to work on it over time. So what I'd like you to do is ignore the other columns here. And I just want you to write down a whole bunch of goals that are important to you, from sublime to the ridiculous, from, in my case, losing 10 pounds, to always having a tan, to feeling healthy, to gardening and growing my own vegetables, like all these different goals that you have, setting up an online business. So whatever it is, just list the goal. So I'm just going to ask you guys to do that. So I'll give you like just 2 minutes, just so you get it started. Okay. I'm going to kind of stop you guys only because we have a certain amount of time. And so obviously we can talk about this anytime, but I at least just want to get you guys started on the process of looking at your goals. But then as a next step, what I want you to do is identify why this goal is important to you. And I think often that's what we don't do. So we'll be like, I want to lose 10 pounds. And if our motivation to do that is not fully aligned with our values, then somebody's asking to join. I feel like this is not a good time for them to join. So I'm not going to allow them to join. Oh, you know why? Because it's 10:55 and I bet some people didn't turn their clocks back. I just realized that. Oh, well. Well, they're just going to have to watch the recording. That's like.
It was today, the clock changing.
Yeah, it changed last night. So that's why. So I just feel like as much as I want to help somebody out, at the same time, I don't think now is a good time to come in because they're going to have missed key parts. And we're on like the last part of it. So the reason that I want you to really identify why the goal is important to you is to really understand your motivation. When we understand our motivation and peel back the layers, it actually helps us achieve that goal. So I'll be perfectly honest with you. So I have this goal to lose 10 pounds by Christmas, and I'm on this very rigorous plan to do that. If the goal was so that I look nice in a dress or in an outfit, I probably wouldn't stick to it as strictly as I'm sticking to it. But the goal for me is actually all about a health and wellness goal and feeling healthy and knowing that this is right for my body. And I'm, as a result of that, enlisting the support of a nutritionist and a dietitian in helping me do that. So I do it from a healthy lens. And so then if you look at the next column, how does this goal fuel me or inspire me? So although my children all have partners, I don't know when, none of them are married, and I don't know when I'm ever going to get grandchildren. But in the event that I eventually get grandchildren, I really want to be the coolest grandmother ever. And I want to be able to do whatever my grandchildren want to do. So if they want to surf, if they want to camp, if they want to do whatever, then I want to be able to do that. So I want to ensure that my health is in a good state now, and I can maintain that health so that whenever said grandchildren do appear, I am good to go. And as well, I want to be healthy for my children and experience whatever is on the page for them, whatever that is. So I do have a target date, obviously. Our family will all come together for the Christmas holidays. So I'm kind of using Christmas as my deadline for having achieved that. And that's strictly because at this particular point, I kind of think that that'll be a good time as I head into the new year. So what I want you guys to do, and obviously you don't have to do it right now, is kind of look at your goals and go through this reflection on your goals, because it'll just help you clarify what matters and what doesn't matter. Then what I want you to do after you do this is see if there's any clusters in your goals. So as an example, so I use myself as an example right now. So I actually have it like written down here. So I obviously want to lose the weight. I want to be physically fit as well in the process. So I want to be toned and have appropriate muscle development. I want to eat organically, etc. So all of those things can kind of be clumped together in a physical health and wellness bucket. So it's almost as if the achievement of those goals are all intertwined. So take a look at your goals and see if you have that similar intertwining. And the reason that I'm saying that is because sometimes we have 100 goals, but there's 4 or 5 of them that is really all around one root goal. So think about that. And as you're looking at your 100 goals or whatever it is, see if there's a commonality and see if you can bring them together. Because at the end of the day, we can really only focus on 3 to 5 goals at a time. Sure, the other ones can be there, but we can't really give our energy in all good faith to achieving more than that, just because honestly, there's not enough hours in the day, days in the week, weeks in the month, months in the year. And so this way, it just helps us to focus. Plus, when we bring them together, because they all are interconnected, it actually becomes a bit of a lifestyle change and therefore also becomes more achievable. So I would ask you guys, obviously you don't have to do that right now, but to take the time to do that after we're not together so that you really start to fine tune your goals and why they matter and look towards an appropriate timing that you can achieve them. Then what I'd ideally like you to do as a next step is take those 3 to 5 goals and almost give it that whole strategic focus that you would give an objective if you were given an objective at work. So because this, as a blank slate looks a little bit ominous, and how should you actually do it? I'm going to give you a live example. And so here's my live example. So as you guys know, it was super important to me to write my book and to publish it. And at the time, I wasn't actually sure if I was going to, 1, be able to do it. And 2, I had never written a book like this before. I didn't know what the timelines were. I didn't know how much it was going to cost or what the deal was at all. So I put together this plan, and it's super important that as you guys do this blank one, that you actually take into consideration some of the learning in mine. So in your goal, you really want it to feel as though you have achieved the goal. So it's kind of like your vision board. We want to wake up every morning and go, oh my God, that's the life. Sure, I'm going to live, but I can already feel it now. And the more we can feel it within ourselves, the closer we are to actually achieving it and making it happen. So to that point, I wrote this statement when I was obviously working on my book and publishing my book. So it's to rejoice and literally dance for joy as I share my globally acclaimed best-selling book and process that inspires people all over the world to live fully and manifest their lives by desire and design. So I wrote that back in 2023, as you guys are, sorry, that's a lie, in 2022, end of 2022, beginning of 2023. And what I started to do was figure out like how to map this out. I created a vision board. So obviously you can see Oprah's on here because I wanted Oprah to shout me out. I put myself on the vision board. So I have a couple of pictures of myself. Brene Brown is on here. All of just some different cues that matter. So it says New York Times bestseller, etc. Obviously, I haven't hit the New York Times bestseller list, but when my book was published and released, I hit bestseller in 7 categories on Amazon when it was released. So in my own way, I wasn't maybe as clear up here as I could have been, but I actually did hit bestseller. So, you know, it's all a nuance in probably how you manifest, how you explain, etc. In terms of the global part, I actually had, I covered each continent in my sales. So I had people from different continents buy the book. So I felt like, oof, that was a big sort of check mark for me as to building it. Now, I still haven't achieved some of the benefits of this that I had hoped for, but the truth is the benefit is the sharing of the process and it impacting more people's lives. So I think the goal has also shifted, less about the glory, more about the fulfillment and impact. And I think that was just a bit of learning that I had, and probably I have a publisher that I worked with, and it was more about the glory. And for me, it's much more about the fulfillment. So I think it's just part of my learning and transition in all of that, and the authenticity. So obviously, as I give you guys this blank one, the hope is that you'll complete this for yourself so that you actually think about, is this really what my heart desires? So like, does this really make your heart sing? Does this give you joy? And then what is your motivation? And so you'll each have different motivations. When do you actually plan to achieve it? So actually the deadline. So for me in this example was 2023, and I launched my book in November 2023. And then obviously, what do I need to do to make this happen? So like, do I need external resources? Do I need coaches? Do I need an accountability buddy? Do I need focus? What I actually really need is time in my calendar. So I'm actually at some point today going to share with you a snapshot on my calendar because I am working on another project and I literally am so stringent about allocating time every day in my calendar or however, whatever the time is in order to make that happen. Otherwise I find I just won't make it happen. So I won't have that commitment. And so that's super important for me. So I'll share it and then you have to decide what works for you. And then where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, you know, obviously you can put months, years, weeks, days, whatever makes the most sense for you. So you can go in and adjust this. All of this is adjustable in the Google Doc that I sent you. But you obviously put the key milestones. So on any given goal that we have, there's anywhere from, on average, 5 to 15 or 20 milestones. So you have to decide, you know, what are the appropriate milestones for you? What is the bite-sized milestones that you need to actually achieve this and make this happen? And that the reason that that's important is that in a couple of slides, I'm going to share with you that I actually want you to put those milestones in your calendar. But before I do that, one of the key points that I just said to you is that on average, you have 3 to 5 goals. So if you have 3 to 5 goals, how do you manage that in conjunction with the rest of your life? So this is also what I do, is I actually lay out all of my goals. I put the final date of their achievement, and then I map out the milestones. I do this before I compare this to my personal life. So the reason that I do this is I find that all of us kind of put like this, that we put all the dates the same. So this is going to happen in January and this is going to happen in February, regardless of the goal. But the truth is we don't really set ourselves up for success. You know, in the business world, we're very conscious about the dates that we pick, and we set ourselves up for success knowing that there's certain things that have to fall into place in order for us to be successful. So the same thing applies here. There are certain things that we have to continue to live, eat, do laundry, clean our homes, cook our food, etc., take care of our families. And at the same time, we have all these other goals. So what this allows you to do is do an adjustment. And, you know, I've put the months of the year. You may put years, like you might actually put the different several different years in the calendar. It's all up to you. You have to identify what makes the most sense to you and allows you to now bring this to fruition. So for me, that's a key point. As you are doing this, I dropped in a couple of slides, which will probably remind you of your education. But as we, complete this particular page for yourself, it's super important that you cover off and make sure it truly is a SMART objective. And I think, this framework forces us to ensure that it's a SMART objective so that we are very specific as to what is the goal. So as an example, I said best-selling book. Maybe I should have said New York Times. I don't know, but I said best-selling. But be very, very specific. The more specific we are, the more clear we are. Obviously, make it measurable. So what is the timeline? And if there are any key metrics to make this happen. A key piece for me, and I think you have to do this as a bit of a gut check, is if I commit to all of this, is this attainable? And this is where I think it's important that we go back and do a little bit of this juggling, because what it does is it allows us to ensure that everything is going to be able to come together properly. Because if I put everything as a deadline of January, then we all know I'm not setting myself up for success. In fact, I'm setting myself up for failure. And then the relevant part comes from, is this really what my heart desires? And is this something that is really going to be motivating to me? And is it something that I really want? I do think that, well, sometimes it's like, do we need to really have these questions here? I identified it as a goal. Yeah, you do, because it has to be your goal, not somebody else's goal, not the voice in your head's goal, your particular goal, so that you own it, you're in love with it, it makes you passionate, and it's what you want to do with your life. And then obviously the time-bound part is where, you got to add a deadline. This is my deadline for achievement of that goal. And so what do I need to put in place to actually make that happen? So once you actually do that, then the hope is that you've actually identified the milestones now that matter. So you've done this first part. You've literally put in the milestones and identified some checkpoints. And now what you can do is a couple of things. So I know people who set up critical paths, Gantt charts, they use Notion or Monday or whatever it is that they want to do. I use my calendar. I got to be honest, if I have too many tools, it's going to make me feel like it's laborious for me to keep track, and I'm not going to be able to keep track. And now chances are I'm not setting myself up for success. So I'm going to share with you the process that I use. And then obviously this whole notion of visualizing your progress every single day. So this is your vision board and you're working towards it. And then as you are moving things through your calendar, you're actually seeing the achievement of it. And you're, feeling like it's going to happen more and more and more. Plus you just start to check things off your list. The people that I have worked with who have had this level of focus, they have found that they have achieved their goal faster than expected, and they're on to their next round of goals. So that list of goals that they had that was maybe 50 or 100 long, they've eliminated the first couple of goals and they're on to the next round, which is amazing. That's always obviously my goal for them. So how do I actually manage this? So I'm going to share with you guys. So I keep 2 sets of calendars, but they have different purposes. And one absolutely does not replace the other. And I don't transfer information from one to the other at any way. So I have my online calendar, which is where I record all of my meetings and appointments. And I will actually give you guys a rather scary snapshot of what that looks like. So I'll show you actually last week's so that you can see very honorably what my calendar looks like. So this was my calendar for last week. I also had a travel day in there for last week. So I was actually traveling home. And so some of my transition began here, and then I was traveling home. But you can see here, I literally had meetings in this particular case every 30 minutes. I'm working on a project. So this is where you can see from 4 to 7 a.m. every single day. I'm working on a very specific project. And then you can see I've got my teaching in here, etc. So this is all of my appointments, and I keep it pretty up to date. So here's for the week ahead. And I'll go in and make adjustments as I go further and further out. I mean, it's more or less, and I will make adjustments as I go along. But what is in my calendar is everything that is super important and is time sensitive. So it has a commitment attached. I'm expected to be at a certain place at a certain time, whether it's online or offline, and that is noted in my calendar. So for you guys, it could be client meetings or work responsibilities or classes that you're taking or a yoga class or whatever. In addition, what I also put into my calendar, and I think this is super important, is anything that has to do with family birthdays, family appointments, go back to that impact exercise. If it was really important to you to be, the best child in the world or the best sibling, or for people to know that they had your back, how are you connecting to them? Is it important that you talk to them once a day, have dinner with them once a week? What are the different relationships that you have, and what do they require for you to have that impact? And so put that in your calendar, because even though you might go in and make some adjustments as a result of their needs or your needs, it is now in your calendar. And so there's a commitment to make that happen, and you'll just adjust accordingly. My offline calendar, and of course I left it in my office because I'm sitting at my kitchen table right now. My offline calendar literally has the month at a glance, and then it has a daily calendar within it. And the purpose of the daily, is to track all my to-dos. And so obviously it's Sunday today, so I'll have all my to-dos for today in there, but it's something that I'll also write as I'm working on the week ahead or the weeks ahead. So I'm constantly adding in things that I need to do. But very importantly, when I first set up my goals, I actually put my day timer down in front of me. And because I have now mapped out those milestones, I will put the key milestones in each month. So if in January, I need to hire a coach, a dietitian, or a naturopath, I'll put that as my goal in January. And if in February, I've got to start my exercise program, then I'm going to put that on the February page, etc. So hopefully I'm making that point to you and that makes sense. But the key goal is to put your milestones in there. I find that when I put them in my online calendar, I lose them. I lose the focus on them and I lose the attention to them. Whereas because I use my analog or my desk calendar as a tool, I find that it is, and I'm using it every day for my to-dos, that when I'm actually going through it and doing my planning, I can ensure that I've added all the key pieces to the milestone puzzle into my calendar, and I'm actually making it happen. So that's how I bottom line use the two of them as different resources. And I'm constantly, pulse checking each one to make sure they're up to date. Obviously, the outside world has a lot of impact on my online calendar, and I get meeting requests constantly. And I adjust to those accordingly. Fish, go ahead, ask me a question.
So, the two calendars, do you have like an office calendar that you use for office meetings and stuff? And then you have the personal email where you add your personal stuff. I'm asking you this because right now everything is on my office email.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the truth is I combine it all. So as you'll see here, down here on my calendars at the side. So Franny is my mom. So she helps me with some of my work stuff. So her calendar's in here. But I have, my personal calendar, my school calendars, my business calendar. Everything is in here so that it's all in one place. That's what I need as a tool. I find that if I have too many calendars in too many different places, I won't connect them and I'll miss something. So
it's multiple calendars combined together, and then you are able to see it in
exactly.
So that you know what's up.
Yeah, so that it can all be managed. And I use Outlook. A lot of people that I know use Google Calendar. A lot of people also use the calendar on their iPhone app. So, I'm not going to pass judgment on what tool you use. Use the tool that's right for you. I'm an Outlookaholic, probably because I've used it since the beginning of time. But definitely combine, in my opinion, combine them all, because then you have your day and your week and your month at a glance. You can see, if you want to fit in that Pilates, you can see how it fits in between your meetings, that sort of thing. That's my 2 cents on that. Let me
Yeah,
go.
because I see mine right now and it's mix of all the calendars.
Yeah, so I think that's good that it's all the calendars. I think that that's helpful because it now allows you to see your time holistically. The other thing is, like, right now, so you're working in 2 different time zones, right? Because you're living in one time zone, but you're working in another time zone. So what I do when I am living and working in 2 different time zones is I'll actually put the second time zone in my calendar so that when I'm scheduling meetings and doing things, I know the implication on my sleep. Mostly my sleep. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely do that. And then obviously this part here is probably my key factor for success. So obviously daily, I like every day before I start my day. Well, at night, I sort of check my calendar for the next day to make sure I'm all set up. Excuse me. But then in the morning, I will check my online calendar just to make sure I've got all my meetings set up properly. Everybody's got the links, that everything is proper. And then I will add, I should say here, add/delete to-dos. So I'll just double check my to-do list and see if there's anything that I have to add, or maybe something that I actually got done yesterday. So I'll very quickly do that in the morning. So again, I'm set myself up for success. That said, I tend to also do that a little bit the night before. So sometimes I'll have fresh thoughts when I wake up in the morning. So I kind of just do that as a course of action. I am very strict, though, about Monday mornings, Friday mornings, and Sunday mornings. So in all 3 cases, where I can, and I used to be better at this than I am right now, and that's just because right now I am working with people in different time zones, but I block off 1 hour on each of those days. So on Monday mornings, I use that time to review the week ahead and then also make any adjustments to my online and offline to-do list. So if I have to make any adjustments, I'm going to do that now so that I'm clear for the week ahead. That kind of starts on Friday, but I also use Friday as a bit of a catch-up day. So on Friday mornings, and I prefer to do this in the morning, I will take a look at, what I did or didn't get done in the week that's just ended. Do I have to do anything for the week ahead? And I need to do it now so that I'm not working all weekend or fretting about it all weekend. Like, maybe it's better if I just take that hour and get it done versus let it play in the back of my mind all weekend and have to get up early on Monday morning. And so this is actually something that I've trained my kids to do so that they can actually take a breather and enjoy their weekend. Because all of us have stuff that's kind of due Monday. But if you get it out of the way, it's amazing what an impact that can have. So I definitely do that on Friday mornings so that I can set myself up for future success by doing a bit of that review and then adding any things. And you'll notice that all of this is much more specific to my commitments to the outside world. So it's really all the things that I either owe work or other people that I coach or family, friends, etc. It's all of those commitments. Sunday mornings are about me. So I legitimately get up on Sunday mornings. I have a very, I'm going to call it a self-care routine, but I think it's more like a just keeping my head together routine. And so I make myself a tea or coffee. I go for an amazing walk with Sadie and I put on a meditation, usually a 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗆 meditation. When I come back in, I take a look at my online calendar and my offline calendar and my goals and see how I'm doing and see if I need to make any adjustments. So first of all, does everything still feel like it's in alignment? Am I moving in the direction that I want? Have I had anything change? Has there been any sudden evolutions or revolutions? And so I kind of take a look at that. And to be clear, this doesn't have to feel heavy. I actually quite enjoy it. I kind of feel like it's like, oh, this is good. Oh, this isn't good. And I got to make a change here. So I kind of do this review. And then I just sort of make any adjustments. And then I usually close off believe it or not, by doing some kind of reflection for myself or doing some other kind of meditation. And on this one, it almost probably feels like a little bit like a prayer where I'm kind of patting myself on the back and at the same time setting myself up for a positive week ahead and feeling like I've kind of taken care of myself. And then usually after I do that, I do some gardening or some reading or go for a walk or do something that kind of is good for my soul, something that I enjoy. I've started to take up pottery. So today, as an example, I'm going to do some gardening and I'm going to do some pottery because I'm super excited about that. So it's like just something that feeds my soul. So it's my definition of church. I don't go to church anymore, but I would say this is my way of practicing. So that for me is super important. So I would say establish a pattern for yourself that makes sense for you. As I have shared all of this with you guys, all of this is in Life and Business Blueprints. So it's in the community and all the parts of it are in the community as well. So I'm going to start putting those out there more and more. And Vish, I know I owe you an email so the two of us can find a time to talk now that I'm back. So I will definitely send you an email because I'd like some thoughts from you on that. And then just to share with you guys, so I do have some things that I'm working on right now. So after I published the book last year, I made a commitment to myself and my publisher to create a workbook, and that would be an accompaniment. And I actually wrote the workbook, and it was due to launch actually this month. And I killed it. And I killed it because I didn't feel like it was relevant. And I actually wanted to change the way I was writing it. So I have done one full pass of rewriting it. And I have a goal this week to work on each chapter individually. And by this time next week to try and get it to my publisher so that we can see if we can get it actually some copies before Christmas. In addition, what I'm working on is a day timer. So the day timer is because this, I share with you guys, time management is so important to me and has been critical to success. And I have yet to find a day timer or whatever you want to call it that works for me to achieve these goals. So I'm creating one that is life blueprint driven. I have already laid it all out. I'm sending it to a printer to quote out tomorrow. And then I also found someone else who actually creates proprietary journals, etc. And so I'm going to do that as well. But if you guys are interested, I'd happily send you what one of the pages looks like. The month at a glance is what it is. But it's the inner pages where I'm trying to ensure that they're useful based on what I have just shared with you. So happy to get your feedback on all of that. And obviously I would release that in the school community as well as outside of the school community. So that's actually my wrap for today. Hopefully, did that help? Was that useful? Vish, do you have a whole new set of goals?
Yeah.
Yes, and I have to tell you something.
Okay.
First, congratulations for 1 year anniversary, because I just remember it was 7th of November last year
That's true.
when you did the call with everyone.
That's right.
And it's been 1 year since
That's
I
true.
sent you the vision board, and there's something really important which will happen, I think, next week or by first week of December, which I really want to share with you. So I will do that.
Okay, you got to share. I'm very excited to hear. Yeah, so you and I can, so you know what to do. So I'll send you an email right after this, or you send me an email because sometimes I'm afraid I don't have your right email. And then book in the Calendly, just book a time so that you can chat with me and share. Because I totally want to hear. I think that's awesome. That's so good.
Yes.
So good. Yeah.
Can't wait.
Okay, good. I'm very excited. That's awesome. Ravneet, how do you feel about all this? Do you feel better than you did on Friday?
Yeah, so feel
Good. Good.
it's really a good time.
Okay, good, good. I'm glad you feel better. Good. You
Okay.
have a smile on your face today. You didn't have a smile on Friday, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Friday feel so stressed, but
I know
I
you
am
were.
early.
I know you were. I know you were, but it's okay. We're going to get to the other side of this and you're not going to be stressed. It's all going to be good.
Yeah, thank you so much for the
No, no problem. My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, you and I'll stay connected because we're working together for the balance of the term.
yeah.
So just go and enjoy your day. Like honestly, just enjoy your day today. Start collecting images for your vision board. And so literally start to do that. Like literally, so for my vision board, I start to collect the images and then I lay them all down
Okay.
on the board and I take a look at I usually do it at night. Like I make myself a really good tea or a glass of wine or something and I lay them all down and then I walk away. I go to bed. And when I wake up the next morning, I kind of do like, do they all still fit? Or is there something I should pull or something that I should add? And then after that, that's when I glue it all down. Because sometimes I find, like in the moment, something feels good, but you want it to have that sustainability. So make it have the sustainability, make it feel really inspiring for you, and then put it everywhere. Tattoo it to your forehead because that's how you make it happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, go. Thank you for today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining me. I truly appreciate your time and
Thank you
go
so much.
and have an amazing rest of your day.
Yeah.
Thank you. You as well, both of you. Have a great day, and I'll see you. I'll send you an email now.
Okay. Perfect. I'll see you guys soon. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.